I just imagine you just licking your finger.
Yeah,
control.
yeah. Settings. I think I've changed the settings, but it's like put this like dull thing, right? So there's like a haze. So forgive me if I'm in a haze, but I think my settings ultimately are going to be, if I don't change them, then they're this, which is like I'm in the dark. So I assume this is slightly better.
Yeah, slightly.
Well, welcome to today's podcast. Hopefully you're doing well. And if not, this next 30 minutes will make you better, because we're going to chat all things that's on our mind. And what we're going to try and do differently today is we're going to just run into it straight away by asking how your weekend's been and catching up properly. So, Tom, how has your weekend been?
Yeah, weekend was good. So was picking up brother-in-law from Manchester Airport and then went into Manchester. So it's quite nice seeing the city vibe. Went mini golf. One thing I would say with this mini golf, you know how mini golf is normally like on thin carpet, astroturf, whatever you call it. This was like carpet at home type of stuff that you'd knock it and it would like hardly go. Down. So it was really annoying. And then you'd over knock it and then it would like shoot off basically. So it was unlike any other.
Did they have any like golf drums and pipes and all the rest of it? Because I think I've always
had a little bit
types
of all that. It was cool, to be fair. Quite tough to play, more so from the carpet point of view. But that was good fun.
Who ended up winning?
Roxy. Brother-in-law, Brandon did.
Oh, good. Cool.
Which was good. So,
where did you come in the rankings?
I can't remember if I came second or third, because it was a close one between me and Megs. So
out of 3.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I've got some news. Obviously I've been doing calorie counting, fasting, extra exercise, and water intaking. And I've lost 2.2 kilograms in 1 week.
Nice.
Which is good. So I was worried about actually weighing myself this morning, thinking I don't want to disappoint myself just in case I randomly put on weight or stay the same or not as much. But I've got super into it. So 1, I'm calorie counting. 2, I'm fasting, which by fasting, I mean like there's a pattern where you do 8-16, where you eat within 8 hours and then don't eat for 16 hours. But you can have water and tea and stuff. And that just helps because after 12 hours, your body starts actually burning calories or burning fat.
Mm-hmm.
And in upping up my exercise, having something like an Apple Watch or whatever with calorie counting on the active calories is really, really helpful. But then I wanted to estimate how many calories I think I will have changed. So due to my weight and age and whatever, they say roughly 2,300 calories is like the baseline. But then I realized, Apple actually works out your resting calories, which on average is, for me, 2,100. So if that's my resting calories, then I want to work on a deficit. So the deficit that I've been working on is trying to work out more that I've been eating, but also what I'm eating is much, much lower anyway. And what I shouldn't be doing is going any lower than 1,500 calories. And then to work out the actual weight kind of like difference in kilograms, they say that it's roughly 7,700 calories equals 1 kilogram. So to lose that, you kind of want to work out a deficit of 7,700. So I estimated based on my deficit, I think I only intaked probably 1,400 calories or something because of my deficits. And then I estimated that to be 1.7 kilograms. So to know that I've actually come out at 2.2 kilograms is really helpful. So yeah, if you're wanting to shift it, and I've definitely noticed I feel more positive. And it might have been because I had Huel, and Huel has more nutrition in it. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next, because everyone focuses on the weight loss rather than, but how do you feel afterwards? Because sometimes you can lose weight quick but feel way worse.
So
That's
I
more interesting.
definitely feeling the struggle of like I'm feeling hungrier or more because I'm doing the fasting. But I'm glad that I feel hungry, because I would be worried if I didn't feel hungry, then I'd be worried that my body has just gone into starvation mode and like is okay with it and kind of like just
Yeah.
slowing down metabolism. So I think it's good. They say there's like a range of like 1 to 10 in hungriness, and like you should be kind of in the like the middle or something. So you're not like fully starving and you're not fully full. You're like just in the middle a little, or on the sides. So still feeling a little bit hungry, but not like starving. But general like mood and outlook on life is more improved. One, I think that's probably because I'm just getting better nutrition because I'm substituting meals with fuel, and also I'm seeing
You're more grateful for food.
yeah. I basically had not starved myself, but I basically did it all week. And then on Friday, I had like chips and burger. The sweet potato fries were like the tastiest sweet potato fries because there's a sense of control, right? So if you are able to exhibit a sense of control, then when you do have something, it does like taste better.
I just imagine you just licking your finger.
Yeah.
Control.
So I think like I'm so happy that I've been able to break it. I think it's because I've, like I've always said, like I did the 10 press ups for 10 nights. You see a difference. So like, cool. I just needed to work 2 weeks without thinking of anything, and then the urge of like, actually, I'm just going to weigh myself just to see. And I was like, look, it doesn't matter if the numbers are high or low. I'm just going to see what happens. And to be like 2.2 is like, oh, that's really encouraging. So this week I want to try and do more like HIIT workouts, because I'm probably going to play squash less, because I played twice last week. So I want to do like HIIT workouts with Apple and stuff, and also see if I can be a bit more like not miss the kind of like intaking of 1,500 calories, because broadly speaking, I'm kind of a little bit lower than that. I'm like intaking 900, like 1,100 calories, which is, I want to make sure that I don't become unhealthy.
Yeah. You don't
But
starve
for
yourself too
1
much.
week, it's not going to cause too much trouble, right? It'd be like long-term deficit would probably cause like health issues and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm just trying to find the balance of like what makes it enjoyable or not. Because in the day to day, it's like you realize, oh, I feel hungry, I'm just going to have a snack. And really, I think I have a sugar craving. Like I would like a sweet snack right about now. But because I'm like the discipline of fasting is stopping me, which is good. And in hot weather, you typically don't want like chocolate or snacks and stuff in the same way, which is good. And I'm drinking 2 liters a day of water. Generally speaking, I was kind of doing that anyway. But I've been more rigid in making sure that I fully do 2 liters. I think I'm doing slightly more, but again, I want to make sure I don't drown myself in too much water either. I'll be too hydrated. So yeah, I'm really happy with week 1, 2.2. Let's see what week 2 is like. Because according to the BMI thing, I'm actually classed as overweight. So
really,
yeah, which is interesting. Because I put in 33 male and like what was I 89.4, but my ideal, like the top range is like 85. So I'm probably just like 4 kilograms over into the overweight classification. But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting, insightful.
is that after the minus 2.2 kilograms you lost or whatever?
No, I think I'm still, because I think, oh wait, it was 85. Yeah, and now I'm 87.2. So I need to work out. I think I'm 2 kilograms away from being like a decent thing. But it's difficult to know, because how would you know if that is not muscle versus weight?
I don't know. It's normally a guess, really, on the just chart thing, unless you went into more regimented
that one that
research
shocks through your feet to figure out your weight, muscle capacity or whatever it is. So yeah, that's been a really good motivator for this morning, which is good. So
nice.
What else did you do over the weekend, or what else have you been thinking about?
I learned something about my relationship with Megan that only triggered on the weekend. I've
podcast
realized
friendly.
yeah, podcast friendly. I realized that I tend to keep on top of like chores at home more so than away. Because in my opinion, maybe because I work at home, I like to keep the place tidy, probably a little bit OCD or whatever. But then when I go away, I'm on holiday, that is their responsibility looking after me. I'll look after you when you're at my house, you look after me when I'm at yours, sort of mindset. But Megan, on the other hand, is no, home is where I rest. So I wouldn't necessarily do as much because I'm resting. But when we go to other people, actually, I want to be a blessing to others. So we should help out more. So I basically realized 4 or 5 years later, that it's like, okay, that makes sense why you're always getting me to do stuff when I'm on holiday mode in my brain, going, why are you always asking me to do a lot of stuff? But then probably vice versa. When she comes home from work, I'm like, oh, can you do this, this, and this? It's like, why are you bothering me? I'm on like chilled after work, chilled zone. So yeah, it's just funny getting those mini revelations of how you run, how you work as a couple. And I basically was like, there's probably two options. We either both need to balance each other out. So I need to do less at home, more away, or we just recognize our strengths and then I don't do anything away from home and you take on that chores, but then I'm more likely to do stuff at home because that's more my natural thing. So it's either teamwork and push our extremes, or teamwork and sort of balance out a little bit and see. And we'll probably just play it by ear to see which one feels a bit more what works for us.
I think I was chatting to somebody at church this week, and the importance of like never stop learning. Don't ever stop learning, whether or not that's in a relational capacity or like an individual intellectual capacity or anything like that. And learning these intricacies, again, it's just a case of making a well-oiled machine even more, like run even more efficiently. So it's good to have these conversations because in the world, you don't get these opportunities to discuss these intricacies as much as you do, and also like bother to even discuss it, because it could be like, you do this, which is annoying, and you do this, it's annoying, and then you kind of like not discuss it. So then it like, okay, cool, this person's not worth marrying, as it were. That would be like sometimes a typical low interaction level of the same topic coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think every time there's a new revelation, it makes you better. And then ultimately you go up to like level 2, level 3, level 4, which is you're crossing other aspects of life where there are differences.
I sort of class it as like one of those pentagons, is it? Or whatever. The with sort edges. Of FIFA chart.
Oh yeah,
with you like speed and then thinking, yeah. And it's like understanding. That's gone up to 80% or whatever.
I would say it makes sense, right? Your marriage is a spider chart of parameters, and you're trying to edge out each parameter equally. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Talking about don't stop learning. This weekend. So this week, last week, I've been broadly reading a lot about creating your own large language model, creating your own basically AI model to ask questions of, and the model would be based on your information. So it could be based on a PDF, it could be based off a YouTube video, and then you could ask it questions and it would tell you stuff about the video or about the PDF. So if you think of like stocks and shares, when they do earning calls, they'll release a long PDF of like 30, 40 odd pages, and somebody wants to ingest that into a database and then ask the database questions. So I wanted to figure out, how do you do that? Because what I want to try and do is, one, I want to keep on moving with the time so I don't get left behind with this whole like AI and how do you build an AI and so forth. So I started using this product that kind of showed you how it was working. And what it does is you give it something, it crawls it. So I gave it a website, it crawls the website, and then it basically chunks the website into 2 paragraphs, as it were. And then it's based on what you ask. It searches based on what you ask and says, do you match paragraph A or paragraph B, right? And they're big like data chunks. Based off, if it matches paragraph B, it gives it to the AI and it says, use paragraph B to answer the question, right? So then it answers it. So this like paragraph A and paragraph B is called chunking. There's different methodologies to chunk. So I wanted to try it with I wanted to build myself as a coach. So I want to try and do it as a coach, because there's this female influencer that's put all her YouTube content, all her videos into an AI that people can speak to and basically have a virtual girlfriend. And she's been charging them £1 a minute for the interaction through a Telegram chat. And the Telegram chat will answer the questions that these people are asking her, but will answer it as a voice note, as her voice, but it's not actually her. And she made like 75K in the first day, something like that. So obviously those are interesting things, because her methodology or her approach was, she realizes generally in her day-to-day life, her DMs are mostly from guys, and mostly from guys that like lack confidence or something like that, right? So she wanted to build guys' confidence up by being their girlfriend. So she's like a girlfriend to like thousands of people. And I thought, oh, it's a fascinating like play on the fact that guys lack confidence. So I will be their friend. And what does that like cultivate as a result? Like, you know, obviously there's some dangers in that, because then these people think they know you when really they don't. They know a generated version of you. So I took the same premise, the same idea, right? Took all of our podcasts, or like some of our podcasts. I just took my audio. I then chunked my audio, and the chunking that I used was 6 sentences plus 2 sentences in an overlap, which means chunk A and B will have a little bit of each other in it. So there's a bit of overlap. And then I'm using OpenAI. So I chunked these podcasts, put it all into a database. Then there's something called vector databases. Now, this is where it gets like technical. If you think of map coordinates as X and Y, right? And if I said, oh, there's a particular space and we've got objects, and you map these objects, and the similar objects, you'll map them closer to each other, right? So for example, a t-shirt and a jumper might be mapped close to each other because they're kind of like, they go over the top of your body, for example, right? But then like trousers will be mapped somewhere different because it's not relatable. It's clothes, but it's not relatable. And then like, you know, a rubber duck will be positioned somewhere else, right? So these objects in a space have a relatability kind of like coordinate. Now, when it comes to AI models, it does exactly the same, but it's not X and Y. It's 1,365 numbers to coordinate it in like a virtual space of where things relate to each other. So you basically say, for all these snippets or all these chunks of data, give me the coordinates for these chunks. And then when I ask a question, tell me the coordinates of the question. And then based off those coordinates, I can search the database to be like, give me these coordinates need to roughly match other coordinates. So what coordinates will match the things in the database? And then it says, these 5 snippets match closely to what you've asked. So for example, like one question that I asked it was, what business ideas do you think it's best to start, right? So based off of that, it transfers that into this coordinates, which is basically called a vector or an embedding. And this embedding is a list of like numbers. Then when I asked the database using a list of those numbers, so this is the query embed to go and search on, it gave me like 10 snippets where we've spoken about business ideas in the podcast. And then you feed that into the AI, into the program. And let me see if I can quickly find it. So you feed it into OpenAI using I use ChatGPT 4, and it basically said, so my question is, what business idea is the best to start? It says it's difficult to pinpoint the best idea, as it depends on your unique skills, interests, and market demand. However, one approach mentioned in the snippets is to take an existing product and localize it. It could mean adapting it to a different language, a specific area, or a particular cultural group. For example, creating an Etsy-like platform for a specific region, focus on local products and culture. Another suggestion is to focus on a product or service that people use every day, like shampoo or something like that. If you can create a high quality product at a good price, customers may more likely want to subscribe or buy in bulk, right? So I'm like, awesome. I do remember that we've mentioned those things in the podcast. So it's now answering based on what I've said, because I've just used my audio for the time being. And then now I want to build an AI voice that's my voice, so I can read out that answer in my voice and put it in a Telegram bot so I can chat to myself about business and things. So I find it super satisfying when you learn something new. Does that like broadly make sense? Does it broadly make sense of like how it works?
Sort of, yeah. It's a lot of information for a Monday morning, but
Yes,
it's enough to,
basically it's like map coordinates of paragraphs, and those coordinates find percent, so it matches closely.
As if everything's filed. It's like saying go to 1A and you go to that filing cabinet or whatever, but from a maps point of view.
Yeah, with 1,356 like numbers, which then tells you the exact coordinates in which this, like in this space, these paragraphs exist. So I'm like, I've only done some of the episodes. I've not done all of the episodes. So I want to download the other audio files to like map it in. And I was like, if we could slowly carry on building stuff, we could basically build a coach, which is this: don't be a doorstop coach. So you can be asking it stuff and it would tell you answers based on the content that we've been creating. It does make you want to make more content in the spaces that we've not spoken about, potentially, because someone will ask a variation of answers. So can you create, like if you've been a YouTuber, it would make more sense that you could probably, you probably have more content to use. The one thing I want to work out is how do I stylize it like me?
How would it affect sort of the character arc? So let's say you pick a famous YouTuber that's been there for ages, let's say like a KSI. From his first video to now, he's a lot more polished, professional / probably is less likely to swear, kick off, or picks and choose when he does that more so than maybe his earlier years of just doing anything for the sense of entertainment. How would you be able to, because you sort of want the character arc and the maturity, but would it class it as all individual things? So if you said you hate women as a joke and it's pulled out of context, it's like, so KSI, do you like women? No, I hate women. But actually, it's just randomly pulled out of context. How does it do that type of stuff? It's fair enough if you don't know the answer. It's just something that came to my mind.
Yeah, so the one thing you do get to do is you get to set up the parameters in which you want this AI to interact. So at the very start of any interaction, you preemptively say, cool, like this is who you are, this is what you are. Here are now, you inject the content bits from the snippets, so the 10 snippets that I found based on your question, and then you say, answer the question, right? So broadly speaking, you could say at the start to be like, you are KSI, you are super, like you're super mature, you don't swear, you don't do, and you could basically preemptively put in guardrails at the very, very start. And then and you could be like, and if you don't know, and if you don't find the answer in the snippets, say that you don't know the answer, right? So hopefully in the snippets, he's not said something like that. Therefore, it doesn't come up. But if he had, then what you'd probably want to do is go through the database of snippets to pull out anything that could be perceived as like, you know, bad outside of context, let alone in context, right? Like outside of context and inside of context, pulling out those one sentences. So
fascinating.
So yeah, I'm trying to programmatically program Dan Ryland as an AI based off podcast episodes. And I was thinking, I could feed in my personal YouTube videos and my personal podcast to give it more of a range. I just don't know how to get it to be the same tone, because it's still kind of replying back as if it's literally a bot saying, well, these are the things I found and this is the answer. So I need to fine tune it a little bit further to get the same like language over. But I would also say I want to improve on that, because it might be that the bot then says basically a lot or something, right? So you'd want to be trying to remove some of the language style that I do have to improve on it a little bit.
Fascinating. That's really interesting. Yeah.
So I now understand that methodology enough to be like, oh, I can basically create somewhat of an AI model based off content, contextual information, whether or not it's like YouTube videos or a website or whatever. I understand how, like, the basic principles, which is really, really helpful to now innovate on top of that. So yeah, it's I lost 2.2 kilograms in the body, but gained 2.2 kilograms of learning.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Fascinating. Yeah, there's another thing or two other things that I mentioned is met up with Dave Logan on the Friday, friend of the pod. I don't know if he still listens anymore, but
Friend
we'll
of the
find
pod.
out.
Yeah.
So that was good catching up with him. And then yesterday, me and Megan did a first run of, I listened to something recently, and it was basically talking about active listening and how you let someone speak for 5 minutes, and it could be about anything and everything that's on their mind, heart, soul, whatever you want to call it. And basically, you can't fix anything. To some extent, you don't even answer them. You're just letting them fill the gaps to some extent.
Yeah.
But then you just pick out one or two things to be like, after you talk for 5 minutes, this is a thing that's highlighted to me. And as you're talking about the AI thing, I was thinking, actually, it'd be really interested if you could have an AI bot listen to you for 5 minutes and be like, I've noticed that you mentioned depression 10 times and joy once. Let's talk about depression. Do you feel like you're actually depressed, or what it like, to then hone in? And I think probably me being more dyslexic, save typing in, because that would be a bit more faffier. Obviously, you wouldn't mind it if you spoke for 5 minutes and then it, let's say, typed out the question, then you spoke into it. But it would be a very interesting AI mirror. Maybe we should patent that. Like mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah. I think what I've noticed is we talk a lot about emotions, mental health, like emotional stability, understanding, self-reflection. And it feels like it'd be cool to build like a therapy AI thing. And you could easily do it with it records, 5 minutes of you speaking, and then it gives you some like follow-up questions or some analysis after the fact to then go on it. I think, all this stuff is so fascinating. And I'm like, how do you bring this down to like kids level, so you can introduce this stuff at a kids level, so then at the very start they can be like far more aware about things, so then they're just more they're more well-rounded. And I hope that it doesn't then become because they're so good at emotions that they become like everything feels heavy for them, because they can empathize really, really well, or that they understand so much that they feel like, oh, I can feel your hurt and I can feel your hurt. It's like, how do you find the balance of understanding your own understanding for your own benefit, as well as like an external benefit of how it all plays together?
Yeah. Interesting thoughts for a Monday morning.
Well, we've managed to smash out half an hour's worth of content, but anything else to add, or any other closing thoughts before we go?
I think it's practice the active listening. 5 minutes with someone that will give you 5 minutes, and then let them pick out something, and try and not crucify them. Try and pick out something that will be helpful, because it would be really interesting to see if you feel seen and heard in those 5 minutes, because I think that's what socials and being on our phones and stuff is probably what it first was for, of the element of connection. But actually sometimes it's a lot of watered down connection, which sometimes doesn't give you that roots so you can grow further. But by giving a friend or a partner or whatever that 5 minutes that you'll listen to, and then ask questions. And then if that's quite intense, obviously you could just take it in turns of do someone else another time, or just do one after the other. It's up to you. But yeah.
Well, there you go. Go and find your one person and have 5 minutes talking at them. Until next time, keep hammering those nails.